in economic growth and vitality for the city of Mobile and the county of Mobile. So why are we here and what got me started on this? I've watched over the last few months the debate back and forth in the city council over annexation efforts and the fact that several thousand people wanted to come into the city, but the city council voted 4-3 to allow them to, but only in Mobile does a 4-3 vote lose. That you have to have a supermajority of 5-2. So those folks that wanted to come in, that wanted to increase their taxes, were not allowed to come into the city of Mobile. So it got me to looking further, and of course I've been a lifelong Mobilian and have worked in city and county government as a public servant for 45 years, and so I feel like I know the inner workings of the city. So I did some research and started looking, only to be astonished at the growth the city of Mobile has had since 1970. And as you can see, some of the charts located around me disclose this. Since 1970, Mobile has only grown 1.08%. In that same time span, around us, the city of Fairhope has grown, I believe, 331%, Daphne 900-something%. So I moved away further and looked at Tuscaloosa has grown 48%, and Huntsville 38%. Now, we would have been the second largest city in Alabama had those 13,000 people been allowed to come in. But we will soon fall to 5th place if nothing is done about growth of Mobile. Some would say grow in Mobile from within, but most cities don't do that. They complement that, but take Huntsville and Montgomery, for instance. They have grown through annexation. What was more disturbing, by not allowing this vote, the city of Mobile lost out on the opportunity to request between $5 and $10 million of public safety grants. It's not just public safety grants that are granted to you from the federal government as your population increases. One of the very problems that we talk about is affordable housing. Well, when you grow your city, you also increase your grants for HUD. After all, that's really where you're speaking about is affordable housing, with HUD helping out buying down the prices. So I said, what could we do? How can we change this? Well, we changed the vote. But let me speak more about that supermajority a little bit. As I said, I've been in city government for many years, and I've witnessed several things that I thought caused that form of government or that process in government to be ineffective. You can recall a couple of years back, or a few years back, it took the city council 2 years to decide on the appointment of a permanent fire chief. What happened after we got that permanent fire chief? They immediately reduced the ISO ratings throughout the city. It just recently took the city council 2 years to appoint a council president. 2 years we were out without a permanent council president. And just recently, you will recall, they waited to the very last day to get the votes to adopt an amendment to support the application for the Amtrak train in Mobile. Further research, I determined and discovered that the Zogby Act, the very law that created this form of government in 1985 when it went into effect, allows for the petitioning of the city council to amend or change its form of government if 10% of the number of voters that voted in the last election sign a petition. And so that's what I'm announcing this morning, the initiation. I'm leading a petition drive to make that amendment. Now let me go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Some would say this is racial. It's not. Twice we've elected a black man mayor with a white population, and twice we've elected, twice we've elected a black man with a white majority, and twice we've elected a white man with a black majority. I think things are different now than they were in 1985. In my heart of hearts, I think we're better than that. To assume that racial is going to play a role in that, I think is racial in itself. So I believe it's time that we can move this city forward. Let me tell you why we're at a crossroads. If we don't allow the people in West Mobile to annex into the city, eventually we will be forcing them to create a West Mobile. That West Mobile could very easily be 100,000 people, more than half the size of Mobile. Let's compare it to Birmingham. Jefferson County has not gained population in 50 years, and Birmingham lost population for 50 years. But the population they were losing were leaving the county, apparently. So goes Mobile County. If we also let them incorporate out there, or encourage them to by these actions, the second thing that would happen would be they'd eventually create their own school system. That would just leave Mobile with inner city schools and not the benefit of having a large, economically viable school system. Now, how do we do this? Again, through the signing of petitions. We go up today with a Grow Mobile Now website, a Grow Mobile Facebook page, Twitter, etc. People will be able to go to our sites and download the petitions and be able to sign them. They have to be signed, and then we will come and get them from you, or you can mail them to the P.O. box that's located there. We also have a number of volunteers, and many of you may see these gentlemen in the white shirts. They're volunteers with the sheriff's office. They're not deputies, but they're volunteer citizens. And some of them have agreed to help with these petitions, and we'll be waiting around here and here this week some to allow people that want to sign the petitions. I've got many other volunteers, but again, I'm seeking for business people and others to join this campaign, maybe make their businesses a place where people can stop by and sign the petitions, and again, requesting and recruiting volunteers to help us do these petition drives. I believe this is the best thing going forward that we can do in the city of Mobile. You know, it's my city too, and not only as a sheriff do I have the responsibility of the public safety of these 70,000 people in the jurisdiction, but again, it's my city too. And when the city council put forth an ordinance to roll back the jurisdiction, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, and I knew I had to step up, and I knew I had to do something, and I knew that I knew the details and the issues involved, and I'd be the one to be able to make it happen. With that, I'll be happy to take any of your questions.
Who can sign the petition?
Good question. Only citizens of Mobile can sign the petition, and then we will present that petition once we get the required number of signatures to the city council, and the law says that they shall advertise for 4 weeks and hold an election. And then at that time, only qualified voters of the city of Mobile will be able to vote. If they vote 50% plus one vote, then the city will have to hold an election and make that amendment. When that happens, I feel certain that going forward, the city council could then allow different groups that want to annex in to come into the city, but they could do it in an organized and managed way of growth, making Mobile the city, the potential city that we've had an opportunity for so many years.
Have any merit-based employees of the sheriff's department been encouraged to sign the petition?
Not directly, no. They see what we're doing. I did report to them with a letter this morning what I was going to do and why I was going to do it. You know, this does impact employees too. If the county has to take over the policing of the jurisdiction, we've already said that would indebt us to about $4.8 million a year reoccurring, and certainly that would go against any future raises or benefits that the county employees may need or require. Yes, sir.
Can groups outside the city limits help in some way?
Yes, they could. I mean, it's a political process. It's petitions and all like that. You know, as long as the person signing it, you know, puts their address, their name, and they've got to be 18 years of age and older to sign it.
This all happened about 18 years ago or so. What different are you guys planning on doing that
Well,
happened back then?
two things. We're certainly going to have legal representation and force the city if we need to at the time. But that last effort, I would say probably a lot of politics were involved, and the signatures initially did not have all registered voters, although that's an issue that could be contested. The law simply says citizens of Mobile County may sign it. Then the law goes further to say after the petitions are signed, then only qualified electors, which are registered voters. A judge threw out the names that were not registered voters. I don't know if that issue was appealed, and eventually by throwing those out, they did not have enough signatures to go forward with the 10% requirement. We've addressed those issues, and we'll continue to address those issues going forward.
Sheriff, one more
Yeah.
question. Just a hypothetical, voters, let's say, eventually able to get the annexation question to the voters if this process is successful. Voters can be fickle sometimes if they, for whatever reason, decide not to annex into the city. Is that a risk for you all, potentially, in this process and that?
I think so, but I've seen some surveys that have been done in the area of the group that wanted to come in, and I think it was in the 70 percentiles that they wanted to annex into the city. Let me say one further thing that brings to mind. You know, in the two past administrations, there have been a number of annexation votes allowed. Some of them were successful and some of them failed. So this could be successful in some instances, it could fail in some instances. But at least the two past administrations gave the people the right to vote. That's something that was not done, and it pains a lot of people to not have had an opportunity to vote.
Do you know what the required number of signatures is?
Yes, I do. It comes out to be 4,991, which is 10% of the 49,900 and something. And that may or may not be in your, I think it's in your press packet, but I aim to get several thousand more than that before we go forward with the petition presentation.
You said that police jurisdiction vote was what broke the back for you.
That was kind of the last thing when I saw that. Two things. That would leave me with 70,000 people to police. It would cost us, we looked at it, approximately $4.8 million a year to hire enough deputies, which we would not be able to hire immediately. And then the sad thing, it would be disastrous for the city, because I pointed that out at the time. Many of our people that we hire are police officers in Mobile, trained by Mobile, and they lose them to us. And I support the city, and I support Sandy Stimpson. And let me say this, I'm not running for mayor. This is not a move on my part. Sandy is a good mayor. I support him. He's doing a great job. And we've got an opportunity to grow this city under his leadership, and we need to take advantage of it now.
Are there any members of the administration or city government that are helping you in this effort?
No, and let me clarify that. I'm not doing this at the behest of any city official. I'm a big boy. I know my own politics. And I know what's right for the city of Mobile. I've invested I'm in my 45th year of law enforcement here. I love this city, and I want to see it reach its potential.
Have you also have any kind of funding sources or anything that anybody come forward?
Yes, I have a 501c4, which is a funding mechanism, and I will be seeking funding. I think this is going to be a reasonably low-priced campaign, but I will be seeking funding from business people that understand the significance of this.
What are you looking for, hopefully, what is the goal? The date?
Well, that'll be the date of the vote will be determined on a couple of factors: how long it takes for us to get the necessary signatures, and then the presentation to the city, and then how quickly the city acts on it. I think they would probably verify the names and addresses as being Mobilians, and then by law, as you can read in the packets, it says they shall hold an election. It's not may, but shall.
Do you have a time frame or anything like that, a time limit that you have on this petition?
No, there's no time limit, but I think it can be accomplished in a couple of months at the max.
How many signatures do you need?
We only need 4,991, but I'm shooting for 20,000.
This may be a small expense, but I guess we have the votes on everything. Have you already had some funding come out with these out?
Very minimal funding to print posters and a few petitions and stuff like that.
From your office, I guess.
Well, I've started that nonprofit thing, but it's a... Any other questions?
Repeat the question. Some people.
Okay, sure, I'm sorry. Any other?
Got another question.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Train of thought for 1 second. I've lost it. I'm sorry.
I'll be happy to... Well, I want to thank you for coming, and as I say, we've got some petitions here if any of you are so inclined, but this is a very important matter for the city of Mobile, and thank you very much.